Okay, let's talk about how you can set yourself apart from the competition when you're in your job search. How can you be memorable? How can you do something that none of your competition is doing? So, the four things I'm going to address, the four ways that I've determined myself of how you can set yourself apart is rhetorical analysis, your sense of rhetorical analysis, your ability to use rhetoric as a tool, customization, the time and effort that you put into adjusting your resume and cover letter for every job you're looking for. Storytelling. This is extremely important. We'll get into that in more detail. And experience spinning, which is kind of an odd term, but essentially it means identifying transferable skills and then promoting those skills, even if they don't seem directly relevant to the particular job you're looking for. Let's start out with rhetorical analysis. So we talked about this plenty of times. Audience purpose and context makes up your ability to analyze something rhetorically. And also your ability to come up with your own messages that are persuasive, effective, and memorable. Who exactly are you writing to? What are they? What values do they have? What's important to them? What are their expectations? What do they want from you, etc.? What are you trying to do? Your purpose. What are you trying to accomplish? What's the ideal end result? Why are you creating this communication in the first place? And the context, the way in which this information is being communicated, the place in which it is being composed, the place and time in which it is being read, the conventions that you're following when it comes to font, when it comes to arrangement, when it comes to genre, the corporate culture, the attitude that the company has that you're writing into. So your ability to look at your job search as a rhetorical approach is going to set you well beyond a lot of what other people do. Most people just put together a letter. They don't think about it in terms of how am I going to persuade the person I'm writing to, how am I going to express the reason I'm writing it, and how am I going to write into the particular place in which this communication belongs. So that's the first way to stand apart in your job search and your job application. The second one is customization. This is huge. There's so many times, guys, that somebody puts together one resume and sends that sucker out to about 30 jobs. Okay, that's never going to work. Every job has slightly different qualifications that they're looking for, and you can plug those different qualifications if you're willing to adjust every single resume that you email or that you mail. I'll say that again. Adjust every single resume that you mail. There's a lot of people who say, like, this is the right way to do a resume, and this is the wrong way to do a resume. Well, that's bunk as far as I'm concerned. The right way to do a resume depends completely on the audience you're writing it to. Let's say I'm going to apply for a job at a startup company in Silicon Valley, and the CEO of that company is a 25-year-old college dropout who's a technology genius. Do you think that he's going to want to see the same type of resume that somebody who's 55, working in the banking industry, has been in that industry their whole life would want to see? No, it's completely different. The audience is going to determine whether or not your resume is right or wrong. That's why I suggest that you have a master resume that has all your qualifications and is very general. It mentions all the qualifications. And then you use that master resume to make copies and adjust your resume depending on what job you're applying for. So you copy what you have in your master resume, you read the job description for the job you're looking for, and you adjust every single element of that resume to fit that job description. Later on in the month, in the week, I'm going to ask you guys to create a resume for a particular job. I believe it's wrong for me to just say create a general resume because resumes are never created in vacuums. Resumes have to be tailored and customized for the job you're looking for. The same thing goes for the cover letter. It might even be more important in the cover letter that you adjust your cover letter for every single audience you're writing it to. They want to feel valued. They want to feel like you researched that company. You know all about it. You know what's important to them. You know their history. You know some of the things that they're proud of. You know what their corporate culture is like, and you speak right into that corporate culture. In addition to speaking into the corporate culture of your particular company you're applying for, you need to use the job description as an outline. Every job description is going to have 3, 4, maybe even 5 top qualifications that they're looking for, or top skills that they're looking for. And when somebody who is looking to hire a candidate opens up a cover letter, they want to see that you addressed every one of those top qualifications. If I'm opening up a cover letter and I have a job out there and I say the number one qualification I'm looking for is experience with Microsoft Publisher, for example, if I don't see anything about Microsoft Publisher in there, in that cover letter, I'm going to think that I'm just an afterthought. That the person is not really interested in my particular company. They're just interested in a job. Remember that whenever you write business communication of any kind, you need to think of your audience as self-centered. Your audience is all about what's in it for me. How is this going to value me? The same thing goes for your job search. So the second thing that's going to help you stand out from the rest of the competition is your ability to customize your resume and your cover letter depending upon the jobs that you're looking for, the specific job you're looking for. The third thing, storytelling. Storytelling is an inherent valuable process of the human condition. Storytelling goes beyond what type of worker you are, beyond even what your goals are, and into your values, into your sense of morality, into your sense of ethics, into how you deal with conflict, into how you collaborate, how you work with teams. So here's a couple elements of storytelling that you should consider as you get ready for a job application. First off, use concrete examples in your cover letter. There's very few people that actually use specific examples in their cover letters, and if you do that, you're going to set apart from them. Anybody could say, I have solid teamwork skills, right? Anybody could say, I am very familiar with new technology. But if you can't tell a specific story in about 3 or 4 sentences of how that teamwork occurred, or a particular instance in which you use that technology, you're going to be just like any other candidate. And you're not being persuasive with your audience because anybody could say, I'm a good team worker or I am great with technology. But only a few people can say, I'm great with technology. Here is what I've done with technology. So the concept of show, don't tell is of vital importance. You usually see that concept actually in creative writing, with writing fiction and writing nonfiction. But it needs to be in the business and professional writing field as well, because you need to show your qualifications. You need to show your skills in addition to just telling them. When you do that, it indicates what you have done and implies what you will do in a specific situation, in a specific context, with a specific customer, for example. If you talk about you have positive customer service, if you can throw out an example, oh yeah, this one time, that's a key right there, this one time, because then you know you're getting to a specific incident in which you use this skill. That, by the way, is of vital importance also in the job interview. Every question the person asks, you should have at least one example prepared to support your answer to that question. Now, I mentioned this before. When it comes to telling your story, it also expresses your ethics, your morality, and your passions. So when someone says, "Tell me about yourself" in a job interview, you need to be thinking about these things. You definitely want to think about your career goals, but you also want to think about what makes you tick. Why do you get up in the morning? How do you believe other people should be treated? How do you believe you should be treated? What is the value of human beings? That seems like a really grandiose and heavy-handed idea, but it's going to set you apart if you're willing to tell personal stories about yourself, because those imply what's valuable to you. You can also express professional values in storytelling. And again, that comes from your use of concrete examples to support your claims about the type of work that you've done before. So that's one way to stand out, is to use a sense of storytelling and narrative. Let's go to the next one. There's something out there called experience spinning. Now, this is especially helpful for people who don't have a lot of job experience. Maybe you have an internship or two, or maybe you're just fresh into the job field. You need to realize that that does not at all disqualify you from the job that you want. No matter what job you've had in the past, whether it be babysitting or working as a lifeguard or working at a grocery store bagging groceries, you have underlying transferable skills. For example, bagging groceries. Okay, you have the skill of being punctual because you had to arrive to work on time. You have the skill of working with people because you had to ask them questions. You had to respond to their needs and their questions, paper or plastic, and you respond to it, right? You also have the understanding of what people buy and what people don't buy and why they buy it and don't buy it. I used to bag groceries, and you would often see trends come through, like what people are wanting to buy. And some people talk about those things. Like they really love a product, they want to talk about that product. Well, you have that firsthand experience of why consumers want to talk about the products that they do. You have a sense of organization. When you bag groceries, you can't just throw them all into one bag. You have to have some kind of a structure to it where you have the boxed items on the side of the bag and the canned foods in the middle of the bag and the bread and the chips and stuff on the top of the bag. So there's organization right there. Okay, you also have the sense of teamwork. When you bag groceries, you don't work by yourself. You work with a cashier. Sometimes you help the cashier with things. When I used to bag groceries, occasionally there would be cashiers who are under 18 and they can't scan liquor, for example. Then the grocery bagger goes and scans liquor. It's teamwork. Okay, so even if, let's say I have one job and it's bagging groceries, and I want to be a CEO of a technology company. Okay, there's a lot of other things I probably need, but I can still identify the transferable skills that were present that I learned as I was bagging these groceries, and I can spin that experience to say, this is what I've done in this field, and I'm going to take that and I'm going to apply it to this new field, and I will do that in the new field. So that's experience spinning. Another thing that's going to make you set apart from other people is that you need to be all about your audience. A huge mistake in cover letters and resumes is that somebody talks about how important this job is to them. I would love this job. I've always dreamed of being an accountant ever since I was a kid, and I helped my dad do our taxes. Okay, that's great, and like you're passionate about it, and that might be a good story to tell in your interview. But what you need to do in your cover letter is you need to think about, how can you help this company? What does this company value, and how can you see yourself fitting into those values? What can you do for them? As you sit down to write and you analyze the rhetorical situation, think about what the audience wants from you. They don't want a person who's just looking for a job. They want somebody who's going to expand the company. They want somebody who's going to bring in new customers. They want somebody who's going to make more money. They want somebody who's going to take the company in a unique direction. It's all about the company. What can you do for the company? So every single aspect of that cover letter should be the you attitude focus. What can I do for you? What can I do for you? If you're able to nail that, you're going to set miles apart. You're going to be set miles apart from the competition, because most people, when they're looking for a job, they talk about how the company can benefit them and not how they can benefit the company. So there are your main approaches to setting yourself apart, and we'll get into more detail on that in cover letters and resumes, but I just wanted you to think about it for now, because you need to be thinking about that when you look at job descriptions that you're interested in. Good luck with this. I'll talk to you soon.